Regional bank stocks rallied on Tuesday after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the federal government is prepared to backstop smaller firms with liquidity in the event of a run. Yellen made those comments before the financial industry's biggest trade group, the American Bankers Association. She defended the actions taken by the government to protect wealthy depositors at a number of failing institutions and shore up the books of other big banks, claiming that they were necessary to protect the entire system. She also said, quote, similar actions could be warranted if smaller institutions suffer deposit runs that pose the risk of contagion. Yellen going Oprah on bailout money. You get a bailout. You get a bailout. Everyone gets a bailout. That caused First Republic Bank shares to surge up by 30%. A day prior, the company's stock plummeted 47% on news that it had to be rescued by 11 other banks that infused it with $30 billion in capital. As the feds promised to shore up struggling banks, more details are coming to light about the one that started this latest mess, Silicon Valley Bank. Investigators who are looking into the firm's failure will likely take interest in disclosures that show that the bank drastically increased its loans to insiders in its final months. Reading from Bloomberg here, quote, loans to officers, directors, and principal shareholders and their related interests more than tripled from the third quarter last year to $219 million in the final 3 months of 2022. It's according to government data. That's a record dollar amount of loans issued to insiders going back at least 2 decades. And you can see in this chart just how out of the ordinary this was. The $219 million in loans to insiders in the last quarter of 2022 dwarfs any previous amount of insider lending. Now, banks are allowed to loan to executives and to companies that bank insiders are invested in, but only if those loans are on the same terms that anyone else would receive, and if they are disclosed to regulators. Those details are still being looked into. It is known that the bank was notorious for giving favorable lending terms to its venture capitalist clients. Here was one of them, Jason Calacanis, bragging just days before the bank collapsed about a home loan he received from Silicon Valley.
That's my bank.
Yeah,
They're super nice to me.
yeah, not surprising.
It was great. It was like, I was like, I'm buying a new house. And my partner, Brian, was like, you gotta talk to these Silicon Valley Bank people. Like, they really like to help founders. I was like, no, it's like my personal house. They're like, no, they help you with that too. I was like, really? It's like, I called Silicon Valley Bank. 8 people showed up at my house.
Yeah, I'll talk to Jeremy afterwards then.
They did my mortgage.
Really?
And they did it in like 10 seconds. They were like, so what do you want, Jason? You want this? You want this? And I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. I do the mortgage. And they come over to do the signing. And I come home, there's 8 people. I was like, is this normal? They're like, not exactly. This is private banking. This is this bank and this bank. They brought everybody, an army of people, bottles of wine. We're cracking bottles of wine.
All right, back on track.
I love that Silicon Valley Bank. By the way, I just bought a 3,000 square foot loft to build my studio. So I just like emailed Silicon Valley Bank. I was like, yeah, I just bought a 3,000 square foot loft in San Francisco to build a permanent studio. Like, let me get a 50-year mortgage with like this and this. Like, yeah, we got plenty of stuff. It's like, they're super supportive. They understand what founders are going through.
Again, that was like a week before the bank imploded. No wonder it failed. And Calacanis was one of the loudest people online demanding a bailout after it happened. He posted in a now deleted tweet, quote, you should be absolutely terrified right now. That is the proper reaction to a bank run and contagion. President Joe Biden and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen must get on TV tomorrow and guarantee all deposits up to $10 million, or this will spiral into chaos. Jason is another one of those guys who didn't read the FDIC sign at the bank. But the whinging helped, and the bank got bailed out. And Yellen is now saying she's prepared to do the same for any bank in turmoil right now, keeping up official U.S. policy of privatizing profits and socializing losses.